In the last class, we were going through uh, software requirement specification, focusing on this particular diagram, right? So when you see here, right, there are three important things. One is, okay, requirement elicitation and analysis, requirement specification building, requirement validation, right? So the important thing is a feasibility study, right? When you pick up a particular problem and look at the feasibility, there are different dimensions of feasibility: technical feasibility, operational feasibility, right? Financial feasibility, social feasibility, all the things. So feasibility in the sense, is it possible to do it? Is it within our reach? Can we do it? What all the negative impact it has when we get into that, right? So this is mainly, okay, that's what we look into the feasibility study. So for example, when you look at the financial feasibility, right, what, okay, how much okay, finance that is required for this, what all the resources available, okay, how can we get it, okay, maybe in a phased manner or otherwise. If the cost of the project is too high, right, for example, I want to build a vehicle, right, four-wheeler, it is so automated that when the cost of the vehicle is say 100 crore, right, can anybody buy that one, right? So can anybody buy? Then what all the sources from where I get it, manufacture, I mean the financial support that from where I get it, that's one aspect. Second thing is the product cost itself is 100 crore. Then is it feasible, right, to manufacture such a vehicle and push it into market, right? So a technical feasibility. So you want to design a vehicle which will take in 2 seconds on the moon, right? Do you have a technology available? You create a very nice idea, but if the technology is not available, not supporting and all these things, your idea collapses, that one. So that's what is a feasibility study, and it's a report you need to do. This is necessary for every project, every work that you take it. Feasibility study is necessary. For example, you want to you want to go to the movie, okay, Hubli, right? You need a vehicle, right? Hardly, okay, 10 minutes time is there. Is it possible to reach Hubli within 10 minutes? What kind of vehicle you have it? So that feasibility, you need to study that one and then take a decision. Yes, chalo, we'll go to the movie in Hubli city, right? So then you have a requirement gathering, collections and all, you analyze that one, right? Results into system model, right? Then you have a requirement specification you create, right? There will be iterations that gets into, and then finally you requirement validation you do, right? Validation, okay, looking into what clients need, right? So against that one you do it, and at every stage you will be producing certain documents, requirement document, user and system requirements, right? System models, right? Feasibility report. Okay, this is what you need to look into. Now the same thing is put in this particular diagram, right? See here, I'll take a pen and mark it here, right? It is something like a spiral, okay, that you would say it. So you begin with the business requirement specification, then get into feasibility study, then you get into user requirement elicitation. Okay, you interact with the, you provoke, you interact with the client, customer and all, try to gather requirements during the user requirement elicitation process, right? Then you get into okay, feasibility study, then you get into the system requirement, okay, elicitation, right? It keeps on moving. Then you build a prototyping, right? You build a system requirement documents and all, right? You get into system requirement specification and modeling, right? And finally reviews, like that it gets into. The major portion of this, what you can see is, right, requirement elicitation, where you try to interact and try to collect requirement, okay, this one. Then requirement specification, you build it. Then you have a validation, you do whatever you collected, okay, is it valid? You interact with the customer and try to, okay, validate this. So this is what is a requirement engineering process. List and explain the various activities of requirement engineering process. Ashish, note down. List and explain the various requirement engineering process. A direct question from the book and all, you can write it, maybe around 5 marks you can get into. This is a purely theoretical kind of things. Now we would like to take a case study on course registration system. how does it looks into, right? But before we get into the this case study, okay, some other examples we'll look into. Then we'll come back to the case study so that understanding becomes simple. Now look at that, a simple example, okay, given in, repeated in many of the textbooks and all. Consider that library membership automation software, LMS, right? Now how do, okay, sometimes you write requirements not necessarily to be written in the form of the text, English statement. You can use different format, different notations. The very purpose of the requirement collection or requirement specification is that a clarity, right? A non-ambiguous statement. It should be very clear, precise, accurate, right? That. Now, for the sake of simplicity, consider the option where it should support the following three options: new member, renewal, cancel membership. Now look into when you interact collect, probably you will put in the form of the text. New member option. Okay, for sake of simplicity, I'll read one. Along with me. You please, okay, go through the statement written, right? Addition is when a new member option is selected, the software asks the details about the member, like member's name, address, phone number, etc. When a new member you click it, it asks the details of the member. Action is, if the proper information is entered, then membership record for the member is created and the bill is printed for the annual membership, okay, charge plus the security deposit payable. So look, right? So one is identifying a new member option is required in the system. Then when a new member option is selected, what all is to be collected? I mean, it should be required. It is required as a part of the requirement. It should collect, okay, name, address, phone number, okay, etc. is not part of okay, requirement specification. It has to be very precise. X, Y, Z. That's all, right? So tomorrow, I mean, look at that. Here, the email number is not there. So when email number is not there, the developer will not implement that thing. Designer will not look into that. So you should be very precise, no ambiguity. Then we should not again to get into the wrong debate saying that when today everyone operates email, should we tell that one email is to be written here? No, right? You cannot. You have to be very precise. What details of the member like? Okay, members like, the details about the member like, the term like should not be used. Are you getting this? You need to be precise. Okay, the following details of the member is to be collected: name, address, phone number, right? Then email ID, X, Y, Z, precisely. Then what action? So this, the micro level requirements are also necessary. But how do you represent it sometimes? Sometimes a text may create an ambiguity, right? Now let's look into, for sake of simplicity, I'll keep moving. You can scan the video, I mean, go through the video later and pause it here at this stage and try to look into other options. This is just an example. Don't bind yourself for an example. What is the take home from that example is important, right? Now let's look into how do we represent it. See here. Many times you may have to go for, right, diagram giving a clarity to the requirement, right? Diagrams always give the clarity to the requirements, so you need to use that. This is called decision tree, right? Ashish, note down that one. What is the role of decision tree in gathering requirement specification, requirement collections, right? Explain with example. Please remember, example is more important. Example is more important. Now look at that user, okay, output, okay, does input. In fact, no, input you collect it. Then what is the user output? Valid, okay, section, selection, yes or no. If yes is there, then okay, these are the possible things, right? New member, ask for the member's name, address, etc. is not writing. Create a membership details, print a bill. So you will be using for such a tool, it is called decision tree, right? Looking from left to right, not from top to bottom, what tree you are seeing, okay, in data structure, or okay, bottom to top, what you are seeing in nature. Got it? So this is how many times you express. And this decision tree is put in the form of the decision table, right? decision table, and you will be getting a question. Prepare a decision table for the following case scenario. Please remember, Ashish note down, Arpita note down. You need to enter in all these questions in our in-class question bank. Okay, go through the following description, half a page. Go through the following description of the scenario and prepare decision table. Look at that. Decision table has different sections. Okay, I will read this for you. See here. One is, okay, here you write the conditions. All conditions you write. Then you write all actions. Okay, actions are written here. All actions. Now here, get into condition. Okay, here condition, first one is valid selection. Just a minute. Okay, there is a problem with my keyboard. Now look at that. The valid selection. If there is a valid selection, right? Now look at that. Action taken is display. If there is no valid selection, display error. If there is a valid selection, sorry, and it is a new member, right? Then okay, ask a member details, build customer record, okay, generate bill. These are the action to be taken, right? Now look at that. Okay, there is a valid selection and renewal, right? Then you have generate a bill, right? This similarly, there is a valid selection and cancellation. Now look at that, it generates all these things. So there is a clarity here, there is no ambiguity. The very purpose of using decision table and decision tree to express requirements of a given system is to have a clarity, unambiguous requirements building, preparing. Hope you understand, you appreciate. And there are 4 sections in that. One is condition, right? Just a minute. I'll use a pen. One is condition section. Other one is action section. Then actual conditions and actual actions. And in fact, this will help you to test the system also. For example, look at this here. I use another color. Permit me. Right. In color. Okay, I go for purple, blue color. Now look at that. One of the test case, they also indicate how testing is to be done. The role of decision tree or decision table, okay, is to help to collect requirements unambiguously. Second thing is, it will also help you to prepare the test cases. What are the test cases? Now, what I'll do when a system is ready, I give an invalid input selection. It should, okay, display error message, whether it does it or not. Then I give a combination of valid selection and new member creation. It should ask me the member, will it do these steps or not? If it does anything other than that, then system is wrongly coded. Okay, this, right? Now look at that. Apart from that, you will be adding some more additional, okay, test cases here. Now look at that. Valid selection is there, right? And now look at that. Here, if there are options available to you, menu driven, then you don't have anything other than selecting this, right? But if at all you are writing very traditional code in C program, like enter the option, then the option number 1 for new member, 2 for renewal, 3 for cancellation, which usually you might have written menu driven program in data structure. 1 for push, 2 for pop, 3 for display and all, such kind of things, 4 for quit. Now what I do is I enter, okay, 10. What is the behavior of that, right? What is the behavior of that? Please look into that. Okay, yeah, how it is being implemented, it is very important. If there is a menu driven, then you don't have an option to give anything wrong input. But if you're asking a user enter the option number 1, 2, 3, 4, then user may enter any number. I may enter -20, right? Then what is an output, right? So that precisely, right, you have to look into while doing a testing and all, right? Testing is, right, something negative activity, in the sense, okay, give all nonsense input. How sensibly your software, okay, behaves, that is a very important thing. Hope you understand all, right? Arpita, Ashish, note down that, okay, prepare a decision tree or decision table for the following scenario. Scenario is dot dot dot, right? Identify different use cases, right? And identify the different use cases and prepare the decision table for the following scenario. Other possibilities, what is the use of decision table? Okay, what is the use of decision table? Prepare a business scenario and create decision table for a particular conditions. Got it? So these are the possible questions that you may get it in the examination. The best example is you'll be given a scenario, right? Please look into that. There is a possibility of this. Now there is another thing which you get into state diagram. State diagram is another beautiful tool. Probably you might have gone through my session about how to, object-oriented analysis and design, how to build reusable component. Ashish, have you gone through the state diagram use in representing behavior of the stack? A session given by me?
Sir, I missed one of your session. Other than that, I attended all.
Okay, you discuss with other people because I've taken this for different semesters and all. I don't know. I'm not recollecting. You just get into, but this is an extra add-on things, right? So the state diagram, this is also used to represent the behavior. Right? Okay, simple example. Let me quote. You wanted to write a finite state automata which will recognize the consecutive zeros. Ashish, no, at least you can collect my statement. You appreciate my statement?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Now look at that. How do you build? Okay, you have a zeroth state. I'm writing it here. Look at that. Zeroth state. And you enter into zeroth state. My final state machine will recognize input which has a consecutive zero. Right. So you are in the initial state. Then you get one. You continue to be here. You get the input and you continue to be here. I think all of you look at the screen, whatever I'm building with the blue color. Right, the moment you get a zero, right, you make a transition to the state number one, S not S, okay, S1 like this. Then in state one, if you get one more zero, right, okay, here you go to the final state, which you represent usually in your final state machine, like this. State number two is a final state, like this. And if you get a one, okay, in state number one, you go back here. You go back here, right? Because you got the first zero and getting immediately next one will break whatever the 50% of the pattern you are identified. Are you getting this? Now you are in the state two, right? If you get anything here, okay, either okay, zero or one, whatever maybe, you continue to be in the same state because you have already okay identified, you already detected the pattern 0 and 1 right here. Are you getting this? Right? Is it clear? Is it clear? So please look into that. The red color one, whatever that we developed, okay, it's a behavior of a particular machine, right? So somewhere you will be using a state diagram also, okay, to interact with the customer so that you can precisely define what is required. I wanted a machine, right? Please look into that. When you get a consecutive zero, should I stop here? Because look at that, that is an ambiguity when you express in English statement. Okay, please look into that, right? Ashish, the question may go like this. Read the following requirement specification, okay, and check the ambiguity, okay, associated with that. And in a quote and in a quote and unquote, okay, I'll be writing that. In a quote, it goes, right? It is required to build a finite state machine which will okay recognize the input containing consecutive zero and unquote. Now here look at that. I don't know. Okay, the moment I get two consecutive zero here, for example, look into that. This is the input 1, 1, 1. Okay, 0, 0. I got the two consecutive zero. Should it stop here, or should it read the remaining thing? Stop here, right? Should it be right, or keep on accepting other things? Right? Here is an ambiguity. Here is an ambiguity. So we need to be very clear. How do you express unambiguously statement? You go for the state diagram. I wanted a system which will recognize input containing two consecutive zeros and whose behavior is expressed here. Okay, in the following state diagram. The initial state is 0. When it reads anything other than 0, it continues to be in that state. Then the moment it gets a 0, it gets into state number 1. The moment it gets one more 0, it goes to the final state, but it continues to accept all the input from all the alphabets or all the number from the input. Got it? Okay, this is how you express unambiguously the input so that design can go proper, right? And the coding can go precisely without any errors in that. Is it okay? Ashish, Arpita, I wanted a people, all participant, how the state diagram can be used to represent requirements. It is also a design tool also. It is also a design tool, both. Sometimes I represent like this. Is that clear? Arpita? Arpita?
The question you gave before.
Yeah. Okay. Unmute, all of you unmute. Sorry, all of you mute, all of you mute. Right. For the given scenario, okay, prepare the decision table. This is the one thing. Next question is, what is the use of decision table? Prepare a business scenario and create a decision table. The next question is, right, for the given scenario, prepare the state diagram. Prepare the state diagram to represent requirements. Got it? Right. Then I get into some add-on beyond textbook. Okay, axiomatic specification. Right? This axiomatic, now, okay, 1 minute, I'll use a marker. Please wait. I use a marker. See, look into that here. It is the first order logic is used to write pre and post conditions to specify the operations of the system in the form of an axioms. Axiomatic specification of the system uses the first order logic to write pre and post condition to specify the operations of the system in the form of an axiom. Now look into that. Best is an example. Here is an example, right? See, f is a function. It is being written here, which takes a parameter x, which is a real, and return real. Now you'll be writing precondition is that x belongs to R, real number. Postcondition is that, please look into that. These mathematical expressions in the form of, see, that's what is being written. Okay, first order logic, right? Probably in discrete mathematical structure, you might have gone through this, right? So if x less or equal to 100 and f of x and f of x equal to x by 2, or if x greater than 100 and f of x equal to 2 into x, what is that you are writing here, right? So please look into the textual representation of that. Right? A function takes real number as an argument and returns half of the input. Any number you give, half of that input value. If the input is less than or equal to 100, else return double the value. So this is how your requirement you specify in English statement, right? Or you can specify your requirement in this because this mathematical function is always unambiguous. But okay, in both English as well as mathematics, you can likely do the mistakes if you are not understood how to use all these operator conditions and all. But this is more precise because you are telling, look at that, right? Here, look at that. I'll read the English statement here. Let me change the color of this. Purple color I use. Look at that. If okay, it takes a real number argument and returns half the input value if the input is less than or equal to, probably many times or equal to, you may okay miss this. But in case when you are writing here in mathematically, here you are precise whether x less than 100 or less or equal to 100. You may do a mistake. Here you write less than 100, then greater than 100 you write it here, then equal to 100 is not covered. In that case, if it is less than 100, it will return the half the input value. If it is greater than 100, it returns double the value. That's all. Now there is something hidden here. If it is equal to 100, what is to be done? It is not clear. There is no clarity. There is an omission. We were talking about the quality of requirements. Omission, inconsistency, ambiguity, okay, all these things. Incorrect, this one. Now you have omitted that particular part. It is not a part of that. Either client might not have told, or your competency, you might not have gone into that analysis part of that, right? You're not represented that, right? So when you get into English statement, likely these all things, okay, error may happen, right? Equal to, if at all you do not capture this, what happens? Then your system fail. Okay, developer may not do it when it is equal to 100, but tester has to uncover that. Hope you are understanding that. The best example which you can give for ambiguous requirement, right? Give an example for ambiguous requirement specification and show how it can be expressed using first order logic. Ashish, not done. Give an example for ambiguous requirement and show how unambiguously it can be expressed using right first order logic. Or you can say give an example for ambiguous requirement specification and express using axiomatic specification without ambiguity. You write all these things. I will do the corrections in class, okay, question bank. This is a beautiful example, I'll tell you, right? Now look at another example which we get into. How do we express requirements, right? Search is a function which takes x as a parameter, integer array. Key is an integer, return value is integer, right? Now look at that. What description is function named search, which takes an integer array, which I was reading, okay, an integer key value as its argument and returns the index in the array where the key value is present. Index, key value is present. If the key value is not present, what it should return? But is not clearly expressed. Now look at this, right? Notations used in axiomatic representation, okay, precondition, right? For some I belongings to, for some, this symbol, for some, right? This is for all. This is for some. These are notation used in your first order logic, axiomatic specification, and the same kind of notations you will be studying in your artificial intelligence also later. Are you getting this? Right. So it takes this, I belongs to, okay, first to last, and xi equal to key. This is precondition. The key is there in this. That's what is being assumed. Post condition is right? Post condition is x dash search x comma key equal to key. If the key is there, then x dash equal to x. Then x dash equal to x. This is how mathematically is being expressed. X is the one which, okay, is an array. Are you getting it? The post condition, right? This is how it is being expressed. Please look into this. This is called, okay, how precondition and post conditions are being expressed using first order logic, which you might have gone through in discrete mathematics, or you will go definitely will go through in artificial intelligence and machine learning if at all you pick that one, right? So axiomatic specification, one, then state diagram, then decision table, then okay, decision tree. These are the different tools used to represent requirements, right? This is what we are studying today. I'll take a case studies. Now look at the requirement specification using standard form based. I told you decision tree, decision table, right? State diagram, axiomatic specification using first order logic. Now using standard form. This is another way of representing requirements. Look at that, what is given in your textbook. It is the insulin pump. Function, compute insulin dose, right? Save sugar level. Description, input, right? Current sugar reading R2, two previous reading R0 and R1. Source, output, okay? Then destination, right? Then actions, then requires, precondition, postcondition, side effects, right? Now read this very carefully. Compute insulin dose, okay, save sugar level. Input, okay, I told you current sugar reading and previous two readings. Source, current source sugar reading from sensor, other readings from the memory. Look, you are very precise in expressing that. Output, okay, comp dose, the dose in insulin to be delivered, right? Then look at the action. Comp dose is 0 if the sugar level is stable or falling, or if the level is increasing but the rate of increase is decreasing. Now look at that, all this but, if and all, a complex English statement will confuse, right, developer, designer and all based on their experience and competency. Or it may likely happen that human error where some of the conditions you may not take it. That's why to go for clear understanding, you go for decision tables. Probably in the examination, you may get this description only and prepare decision table for the given scenario, right? The standard form will be input and you have to prepare decision table. Look at that. Then in decision table, from this paragraph story written, what you have to do is you need to pick what are the conditions, what are the actions. Then for all possible condition, what action to be triggered, you put a cross mark. Yes, no, and cross mark. Right? This is the best tool even today. This people are using from several decades. Okay, at least when I was studying, I remember, right? The decision table was a very popular tool, flowchart decision table, where the popular tool used in developments. Got it? Even it is true today. The very purpose is to unambiguously, accurately, precisely express the requirements. If you express in English, if you write it, okay, it may so happen that people may not catch, okay, properly, it leading to ambiguous statement. If the level is increasing and the rate of increase is increasing, then comp dose is computed by dividing the difference between the output sugar level and the previous level by 4. Look, is a complex, right? Now look, conditions and actions. Slowly we are moving towards decision tables. If a sugar level falling, R2 less than R1, comp dose equal to 0. Sugar level stable, R2 equal to R1, comp dose equal to 0. Sugar level increasing and rate of increase, okay, decreasing, right? R2 minus R1 less than R1 minus R0. And rate of increase is decreasing, this is also 0. Sugar level increasing and rate of increase, right, stable or increasing, that is R2 minus R1 greater than R1 minus R0, comp dose equal to round R2 minus R1 divided by 4. If rounded result equal to 0, then comp dose equal to minimum dose. This is requirement, this is not a pseudo code, right? Why do you go for this? We go for this because, right, when you write in English statement, lot of ambiguity is there, lot of complexity is there. People may not catch precisely and wrongly they write the code. So we go for decision table, right? This is similar to decision table, but it is in the form of a tabular specification of computation, right? So you can go precisely, right, for decision tables. Likely that you may get this question in the exam. Okay, I wanted Ashish, it is there in the book, copy this, right, and say that one, prepare the decision table for the following scenario. You write this, right? You write this, mainly these particular actions. And then I will correct that later. Yeah, I think with this we will be getting into the new chapter, design and all. But what we will do is we will take several case studies at this stage. Now, black and white is from your textbook. Black and white and all these things are your textbook, right? Now let's look into case studies. Colorful things, whatever you have seen, right? This is different. This is different, right? Not from your textbook. Axiomatic representation, specification, where first order logic is being used. Please go through that, right? Maybe in the placement, you may get a question, what are the different ways in which the requirement is unambiguously expressed? Okay, prepare a scenario and explain. You can definitely talk about axiomatic specifications. You may talk about the decision table, right? Okay, and you may talk about the state diagram. You may talk about the standard form based, table based these things. But when you talk about the axiomatic, precondition, postcondition, you are near to the industry, because precondition, postconditions are a popular ways of expressing it. So I'll be using one Rational University example as a case study, which is being used in all training, right, in industry. The same example, I'll be using it in the next class. Right, it's available in our Google form. Long back I put it, but I'll be picking that one and going through as a case study in the next class. State diagram, you have studied finite automata and formal languages. Probably you may get, right, here is the requirement, I mean, what customer scene, right? When they are interacting with you, the customer scene is shown here in the following paragraph. Okay, develop a requirement specification for this, right? You may go for the state diagram, right? Partial order semantics, right? Now look into that. This is the another technical term that is being used, right? What exactly it means, right? System, it is a structure of states. Look at your FFL, satisfying partial order relation among the state, right? There is an event and there is a transition from one state to the other state, right? And always, okay, precedence ordering among the events and constraint some events to occur only after some other event have occurred. That's what you see it. You say it. While the occurrence of the order or the event called concurrent events is considered to be, okay, incomparable, right? Leave it. This fact identifies concurrency as a phenomenon not translatable to any, okay, interleaved representation, right? Leave it. All that kind of things. So basically, what you can say is state diagrams. So if at all you are talking very technically, you can say decision tree, addition table, right? Then you can say partial order semantics used to represent requirements, the axiomatic specifications, right? Then you may go for standard forms. List and explain the different ways of representing requirements. These are the different ways of representing requirements, right? Prepare a business scenario. List and explain by preparing a business scenario, right, to represent the different ways of representing requirements. Right? Before we take the case studies and all from the Google class, whatever we created, I wanted the floor to discuss about this. Any questions?
Sir?
Any questions from the floor?
Excuse me, sir.
Please.
So what is first order logic?
First order logic is something, you use the knowledge using this set of notations. Right? Are you getting? Right. So you use, there are set of notation and or, right, conditions and all, right, correlate that one, right, and represent the things. For example, permit me, I'll be writing something on this screen. All of you collect that one. Okay, all of you understand this. Now I'll say that one. Okay, now look at that. If it is raining, right, and you are going to college, this is one of the knowledge, right? If it is raining and, right, if you are going to college, right, then I'll say that one implies, 1 minute, I'll use a pen here, right? It implies, right, you carry umbrella. Am I right? When do you carry an umbrella? Okay. This is called a logic. This is the representation of logic. Right? You carry umbrella if it is raining and you are going to college. If you, look at that. You are going to the college. That is what is the condition. Do you carry umbrella? No. Because the condition given is that if it is raining and you are going for the college, R and GC implies you carry umbrella. This is how the knowledge is being represented. Right? This is how the knowledge, it's the first order logic is the way of representing a knowledge, way of representing the conditions, way of representing the actions and all. It is used in artificial intelligence. Right? In next 2-3 minutes, the WebEx tool stops. Until that, we go ahead. Right? We use and or for some, for all, right? Implies, right? And we try to use a bracket, different kinds of brackets we use to group the knowledge conditions and all. See, in this case, the condition is here. Look at that. Here, x less or equal to 100 and f of x, right? In that case, f of x equal to x divided by 2. Here the result itself is being written. Both are true simultaneously. X less or equal to 100 and f of x returning the half the value. Both will be true simultaneously. That's how the knowledge is being represented. It's one of the tools to represent the knowledge. First order logic is a knowledge tool used to represent the knowledge. Right? I think that is sufficient at this stage. You can further, right, go through by searching internet or the book and all, or wait. Okay, or this might have been covered in your discrete mathematical structure, right? Ashish, whether it was covered in discrete mathematical structure, first order logic and all, I hope so. Ashish?
Yeah, sir, it might be in the syllabus, but in third sem didn't actually complete. So
Preposition logic.
No, sir.
Oh, right. You can interact, all of you interact with me. What is not being covered in third semester? This is a very important thing, right? We will ask our concerned teacher who were taking your class to engage few hours of filling the gaps.
Okay, sir. There was one more subject of advanced OOPS, which has a prerequisite that the third semester's portion, but we have not completed it. But the session has started with the fourth semester. Sorry, the fifth semester syllabus.
Okay, I'll look into that. Fifth semester, Indra madam is taking for one division, and Raghunath is taking.
Pratap,
Under, Raghunath is taking, but Raghunath is.
Pratap, sir.
Huh? Pratap. Oh,
Pratap,
Pratap.
sir.
Yeah, sorry, Pratap. Okay, I'll ask them. Right, I'll ask them. Right, and
Yes.
rather than asking them, people who are taking your Java programming, I'll ask them.
Yes,
Is
yes.
Raghunath?
Yes, we had a workshop going on, sir, by Rangnath, sir, but it didn't continue for
Yeah,
long.
the reason is his mother got admitted to hospital because of COVID and other things, and he's partly engaged in that. Okay, but I will look into that. Okay, I'll look into that. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now the question asked was first order logic. Is it clear? Session is terminating now. Session is terminating. Right. We will stop and continue in the next class. Right. I will stop this meeting. 47 people have participated. Okay, Ashish and Arpita, please inform all other people. Ask them not to miss this class, because if you look at the COVID-19, how the things are increasing, that one I don't know. Okay, the situation may continue beyond the September. This is my personal view. Right, everyone should attend, make use of these online classes fully. Shall I close this one, Ashish and Arpita?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Right. Ashish, okay, put all the questions in our question bank, right? In class question bank.
Yes, yes,
Right.
sir. Done.
Right. Done. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, sir.